All right, it's Beyond Strong podcast episode 2. Really lucky to have brought someone on this time. 2016 Europe's Strongest Man, 2 times Britain's Strongest Man, 2 times Giants Live winner, 11 times World's Competitor, 5 times World's Strongest Man finalist, aging the hell out of him, Laurence Shahlaei. Thank you for coming, Loz.
How are we doing, buddy?
Doing very well. So for those who don't know, Loz is actually my coach as of a couple of months ago, 3 months ago or so.
Yeah, it's been good. And since then, you haven't been off the podium.
And that 100% is attributed to your support and guidance. But you know, it's funny being a great coach, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but it takes a lot less than people think, but it takes a lot more of the right stuff than people think. You 100% have to be there when you're needed, and when you're not needed, fuck off.
The easiest way to be a great coach is to have great athletes. that's the easiest way to look like a great coach. Yeah. But I've been coaching for years. People don't realize, a lot of people see strongmen doing coaching now, all strongmen and powerlifters and bikini figure athletes and bodybuilders. Everyone's a coach these days. But I've been coaching for over half of my life. I used to be a table tennis coach. That's where things started for me. I used to work for one of the biggest table tennis clubs in Europe. And from the age of 16, I was coaching. I was driving all around the country, working at different clubs. And then I went from table tennis into strongman. I used to be a ping pong player, believe it or not.
Yeah. If you were to say one thing, if someone's going to become a coach, what's one thing you say they need to do?
Experience within the sport. You don't have to be an incredible athlete, but you need to have experienced what you're trying to get athletes to go through. I think it's very easy. I mean, there's some great coaches out there that can work on technical things and they can see things. But if you're going to be a great coach, you've got to be able to put yourself in someone's situation. You've got to be able to have experienced different situations yourself. And the other thing I think is adaptability. Not everyone, you can't treat every single athlete the same. So you need to be able to adapt. I can't coach someone the way I did something. Of course. That doesn't necessarily work for everyone. For some people, it might for sure, but you've got to be able to find your athlete's strong points and weaknesses and work on them individually. I mean, one of my favorite things to do, I work with a number of disabled athletes. And one thing I love about that is it makes you think outside the box. Suddenly the textbook way of lifting doesn't matter anymore. You get someone to bench press and every textbook is telling you to drive your legs into the ground. Well, these guys ain't got no legs. So, you've got to kind of throw that out the window and find a new way of doing things. And I quite like that side of thing. And I like working with all level athletes from complete beginners. It's great working with guys like yourself that are driven. You're a high level athlete already. It looks great on the resume. But I've got guys that come to me, they're truck drivers. And when they came to me, they couldn't do a body weight squat because their hips have been so beat up from years. And, I've got one guy now, he's squatting 400 pounds, which is not a huge weight in the grand scheme of things, but for him, it's massive. This guy couldn't even do a half squat with no weight at one point. So to see people improving in that area is nice. And I just like the challenge of working with different people. It's a fun thing to look, just kind of sit back and look at someone and then figure out ways that you can help them improve in what they want to do.
Yeah. And I think it's hard for people who don't have the perspective of being at the level that you were at and I'm at now, and seeing that for a lot of people, it's still just mostly about self-improvement. And whether it's 400 pounds or 400 kilos, there's just something about being able to look yourself in the mirror and getting a bit better each day in some way.
It's the best thing. That's all any of us want or should want, is to get better. It's something I try and drill into people is don't worry about what anyone else is doing. You focus on your improvements. And if you're getting better, you can't be complaining.
So you said 2 things. One, to be a great coach, the best thing to be a great coach is if you have great athletes. And you said to be a great coach, you think someone should have experienced it before. And I know you're good friends with Dan Hipkiss, the Strongman's coach, who is not a high-level strongman himself. What do you think about that? And how do you think he's got around that?
I think Dan has experience as a competitive athlete, though. He's not someone that just looks at books. He's competed in sports himself his whole life in terms of, he did weightlifting, done rock climbing, he does other things. He's a good driver as well. So he's not like someone that doesn't compete in sport. And I think that factor helps him a lot. He is one of those guys that's very, very good at looking at certain technical abilities of athletes. There have been times I think his lack of experience in contests have hindered the guys at certain points, and I've spoken to him about things like that personally. But he's very adaptable and he learns all the time. He's someone that's constantly learning, and I think that's a great attribute to have as a coach, is always be open-minded and always be learning new things. Because I learned things from so many people, and I still now try and learn things from so many people. And I think, just because I'm your coach, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be listening or watching what other people do. It's a good idea to watch how the top guys do something. And if you think the way that, say, Novikov does a dumbbell can be transitioned into the way you do it, then for God's sakes, guys, you should be doing it. I used to watch every single World's Strongest Man back in the day, and I was looking at every athlete, trying to figure out ways that I could be better at something. So you just, it's like Conor McGregor said it, but you take little bits from everyone and try and figure out what's right for you. And Dan's a great coach. Doesn't have, say, the experience that I have in terms of competing, but he is a fantastic coach, and he does have competitive experience in sport.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's take a step back. So you were born in Cheltenham, yeah?
Cheltenham, yeah, in the UK.
Is that where you grew up as well?
Yes, yeah, I was. That's where I went to school. I did a lot of sport as a kid. I don't live that far. I live about an hour from Cheltenham now, in a town called Swindon. Obviously, for those that don't know me, I moved to Swindon to be with Liz, who's now my wife. But UK is quite a small place. We don't have to go too far to get anywhere. Yeah, Cheltenham's just an hour from where I am now, and I was in Cheltenham till about 18 to 20 years old, something like that.
Yeah, okay. And your dad is Kurdish, yeah, I believe, from Iran.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Your mom is English. What was it like growing up with them? Like, because I imagine the Iranian way of raising a child would be very different from the Western way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my dad is from Kermanshah in Iran, and he's had an interesting background for sure. My mum's from Newcastle, so you've got like this Iranian Geordie mix, which is very weird. But Iranians are very good at certain sports, especially wrestling, weightlifting. Strength is kind of revered over there. And my dad was actually a very good volleyball player. So I had like a volleyball player background with him. My uncle was an Iranian Olympic wrestler. And my grandfather on my mum's side was an athlete and a football player, played for Newcastle United, which is a big club in the UK. So I had quite a few like sporting influences from a young age. How was my kind of childhood growing up was interesting. My father was an interesting character, let's put it that way. I'm very, very close with my mum. My mum's always been the one to look after me. My dad was a bit of a dick, to be quite honest.
Sure.
Sorry, there's a daddy longlegs fluttering around. It's doing my head.
Even the famous people have real problems too.
Yes. I didn't do anything then. I can concentrate now. So where was it? Yeah. So my father, this is an interesting one. I don't know that I've kind of openly spoken about this to so many people, but my father was a bit of a dick. He ended up in prison, was abusive to my mum and to me, to be honest. And kind of, he was a bit of a child in terms of his mentality. He was great fun when you were a young kid, but as I got older, I kind of started to realize this guy is always just going to put himself first, doesn't put me, my mum and my brother first like he should do. And it really upset me. It kind of, put me in a very bad place mentally for a long time. I don't want to go into too much detail about what he did and stuff, but he ended up in prison. And at the age of, I guess, 12, I think it must have been about, 11 or 12, house was raided. He was arrested. I had to kind of come back from, a friend's house and see this kind of stuff happening. So it wasn't a very nice thing to go through for a youngster. And then I ended up sort of, me and my mum were really close because we had to struggle. I was, I guess, the man of the house at 12 years old. We didn't have any money. We ended up homeless for a while. So it was, from I guess my early teenage years were pretty tough. And I struggled with school. I kind of missed a lot of school because, we were just having to try and scrape by and do what we could. And I was always looking after my younger brother as well, who I'm also very close to. So it was pretty tough at times. It was, and it's probably one of the reasons I've always loved sport. I wanted to be able to, firstly, prove to my family that I could achieve something, and provide for my family as well. Because seeing my brother and my mom and people like that struggle so much used to upset me. It was like, even now, I'll always drop things to look after my mum. It's it's very important to me that I kind of look after my family. Whereas there were situations where my dad should have been there for us, and he would make sure he was okay, but leave us to fend for ourselves. So it toughened me up. My dad did toughen me up in many weird ways. Um, I'd get a cut on my arm, and his Iranian Middle Eastern way of dealing with it would be to get his cigarette, put some ash on it, and kind of, dab it on there to stop the bleeding. Or he'd kind of chuck me out in the snow to toughen me up. So I am very mentally tough. So maybe I have to kind of thank him for that side of things. But it's not how I would want to, bring up my children.
How your dad didn't necessarily put the rest of your family first, and it seems like in pretty obvious ways. And that would clearly have some lasting impacts on you. But when you're a strongman and you're a celebrity in the right room, sometimes it's hard to have your partner be a part of that. Very simply put, it's hard to put pictures out of you and your partner on social media when it's directed towards you and your training. You've done a really good job getting the Strongman channel going with Liz. But when you were competing, how did you manage not having all the spotlight on you and being able to take care of your family in more of a direct way where you don't have to explain, I'm doing this for income and this will support us?
Yeah, I guess, one of the things when I was competing, it wasn't like the level that we're at now. The sport just wasn't as big. So I'd get a little bit of fame when Strongman was on TV. I mean, my first few World's Strongest Man contests, I was still working full time.
Yeah.
And, maybe a few days, like for the week after it had been on the national television, you'd walk around and some people, oh, you were on Strongman last night and stuff like that. But it wasn't kind of as impactful as it is these days. I think I've said to you kind of privately, I mean, it was probably winning Europe's Strongest Man in 2016 that catapulted my fame, if you like, in terms of strongman. That was like a big win, and it was a big event. It had people like Mike Tyson tweeting about it and stuff like that. So it got me a lot more recognition. But I guess I've always managed to sort of balance the family life quite well. And most people, for the whole part, are very respectful. People will often, they might come up to me and say, oh, I'm really sorry. I know you're with your family, but do you mind having a quick photo? And as long as people are polite, I've got no issues with it whatsoever. There's been odd occasions where, some people can just be dicks at the wrong time. But for the most part, I think strongman fans are pretty cool. You've seen what it's like now. I don't think it's been too impactful of my life. I mean, when I was competing, like I said, it wasn't to the level. My popularity has grown a lot since I stopped competing, which is very strange for me, because because people come up to me now and they just think I'm a commentator or a YouTuber or something like that, and I'm like, oh, I used to be pretty good at this stuff. But it's quite nice kind of having the YouTube and looking back. I like I like doing a lot of the history type videos, and it's nice to showcase what you were capable of at some point, and not just me, but the other guys, because these guys paved the way for the athletes that are here now. And it's now starting to become well recognized, a little bit better in terms of prize money and competitions, and the exposure that athletes are getting is so much better. If you think I think me and Terry were really the only two athletes you could say were pro strongmen in the UK for a long time. Making a living from doing strongman. We weren't making a good living, but we were making we were scraping by being able to do it full time. Now we've probably got, 5, 6, 7 guys that could call themselves pro strongman just in the UK, which is completely different to how it was. And you go back 5 years before me and Terry, no one was pro. So it's growing steadily. It's still nowhere near where we want it to be. And maybe the bigger the sport gets, it will be harder to sort of balance those kind of family moments with being, I guess, strongman famous.
So
But
let's
it
just
was
put it
never
in a
too
different
hard.
context, because a lot of guys who currently compete, well, not a lot, but I know a good handful have a hard time holding down a relationship. And I have to think that at least part of that is tied back to the fact that you need to be extraordinarily selfish to go to the gym multiple hours per day, to eat at certain times. And then even when you go out, right, when Ashley and I go out, there's always a comment about how big I am, or someone might come up to me and say, "You're this person," and it's she's fantastic with it. But I always think that I'm very lucky to have a partner who's like that, because very easily you could sort of look and go, "Well, what about me?" Have you experienced much of that, and much in the past? I don't want to say resentment, but friction on how selfish it is to be a pro strongman?
It's very selfish to be a pro strongman. It's a very hard kind of it's hard for couples, definitely. It's hard, my previous relationship before I got with Liz was difficult because she was with me before I did strongman. And then I became a strongman, and I changed in that time. I guess from, I was with my ex from 19, and we were together nearly 10 years, but I went from not even doing strongman to getting to world's strongest man, winning, British titles, winning international shows. And she struggled quite a lot with the attention that I'd get, firstly. And it was hard because I was being a selfish bastard, kind of pursuing this dream that I had of being the world's strongest man, rather than settling down, getting a proper job and some kind of security. We had a child together. So it was very difficult on her. And, we just weren't right for each other at the time. I met Liz, and Liz was so much better for me in terms of strongman. She wouldn't put pressure on me that my ex would. Um, when I was with my ex, and it's nothing against her, but it would be like, "What's the prize money for this comp?"
Yeah.
Whereas when I was with Liz, it was, "Go have fun and compete." That made a huge difference to me, where I could just go and compete. And she never, weirdly, Liz, because now lots of people know who Liz is, but weirdly, she never liked being in the spotlight. She'd always much rather be in the back, kind of supporting her man, if you like.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird now that she's like almost probably more famous than me now.
Yeah, the
um,
funny thing, I've seen Liz after competitions, and I've seen her body language around meet and greets, and she sort of has to be out there, but would really rather not.
yeah, very much so. She's quite awkward in those situations, but she really helped me. Liz is a very positive person, and I can be a negative person. I can get quite depressed. I've suffered with depression quite a lot throughout my life, very badly when I was with my ex, and after I split up with her. We had a child together, had some very low moments, but she was also depressive. So two people like that together is never good. Whereas Liz made me look more on the positive side of life, and that helped me so much, because my mentality changed to everything, in terms of the way I approached being a father, the way I approached kind of a relationship, the way I approached training, the way I approached competition. I always tell people, if you lose, it doesn't matter. Some people really kind of, they put this pressure on themselves. You'll know with your clients, I've got clients that are like, "Oh, I can't compete, I might not win." It's like, it doesn't matter. But even though it doesn't matter. I know that life's going to go on. It doesn't mean I don't want to win, and I'm not going to turn up and give it my absolute best. But some people just let that thought process eat them up, and it stops them from doing things. I let it thrive me. I was like, okay, yeah, I might not win, but I might win. I was trying to look much more on the positive side of things. I started to enjoy competition and enjoy training a lot more again. And it made a huge difference having a supportive partner in my life. I'm not saying my ex wasn't supportive, but it was a different type of support. And Liz is a very positive influence on me, and that helps. It's helped me so much throughout my career.
Yeah, and I suppose to the credit of your former partner, she didn't really know what she was getting into.
No, not at all.
Neither does Ashley, by the way. She's been along the ride. She knew me. We started dating about 6 months after my last marathon. So she had a very chiseled, handsome version, and now she has a
And now she's got this.
a grizzled, less handsome version. But correct me if I'm wrong, Liz she wasn't really into strongman before she met you, right?
Not at all. She watched World's Strongest Man a little bit, but she's not into sport at all. Like
Yeah.
Liz is not a sports fan whatsoever. So yeah, she'd watched. She did know of me, but it was like, you know, nothing. Like she wasn't a fan or anything like that.
Yeah.
And we actually met because of our children. We've both taken our children to like a little petting zoo, a small kind of farm type thing. And yeah, we both had 3-year-olds at the time that were playing in the park, and we just started chatting to each other.
And obviously you had to use the leverage of her knowing who you were to secure it. I know the game.
She pretends she didn't know at all. So.
But as strongman gets more popular, it's funny. I think a lot of guys, and I heard LeVar Ball, who's a parent of a couple of NBA players, he was talking about how he was very sad for his kids when it came to relationships, because there was such a small chance that any woman would be genuinely interested in them without being clouded of who they were, of what they've accomplished. And I think guys are starting to experience that now, which is really interesting. You have a low level of fame, and now that becomes the challenges, like the Hollywood divorce rate, but on a very, very small scale. Let's talk, Loz. Let's talk. You mentioned mental health a couple of times. At what periods in your life did you find that most challenging?
Going back to sort of my early teens, that was very difficult. I probably say from 11 to 16, yeah. I struggled very, very badly. And then during times with my ex, there were times I was in a very, very low place. For various different reasons, maybe feeling like I was trapped in a relationship that I didn't want to be in at a certain stage, and then afterwards as well, when we broke up, we had a daughter together, and it was kind of messy for a while, and it really hit me hard. It was very, very difficult.
What year did you win Europe's Strongest Man? 2016.
I won Europe's in 2016.
And what year did you meet Liz?
2012.
Yeah, okay. But during that time, and I think what I really like to touch on when it comes to this topic is that there would have been, and when you were a child, obviously there was very big things going on that would have led to that. But during that time, you would have been competing professionally at some stages, right? And I think what's really interesting when it comes to mental health is how objectively everything can be going really well in your life, and it still hits you really hard. And absolutely, one of the things in the past 8 months, I've had days and weeks where it's just bad. And the funny bit is, you look at someone's life from the outside and you could say, I smashed it at Strongman, and I have my businesses and I have my family life in order. But I think the important thing about looking at mental health is saying, like, sometimes there's huge reasons and sometimes there's no reason at all.
Absolutely. I've had days where, even in the last year, there's time, not even days. I can be talking weeks and weeks at a time where, if I can quite honest, I don't even want to get out of bed in the morning, and sometimes I have to give myself a kick up the backside. And one thing I do that really helps me is I try and focus on perspective. So, and I'll go back to training some of the disabled athletes that I train, but you kind of listen to those guys' stories and see what some people go through. And suddenly you think, okay, my problems aren't so important, and I think we can all create huge problems. And, I'm not saying we shouldn't feel down. You can't control emotions. We all have times where we can feel shit, absolutely shit. And there might not even be a reason for it. It's just, you got to allow it to kind of happen. But there are people out there genuinely in shitty situations, really shitty situations, and they still keep going and they still keep pushing. So I try and take motivation from things like that. I'm like, if these guys can keep pushing no matter what's happening, I'm in a great position. I've got no excuses. I need to drag my ass up and try and do things. And this is something I talk to a lot of athletes about, because everyone's always, oh, how are you so motivated to do things? I am very rarely motivated, very rarely, but I create discipline in my life to make myself do things. it becomes habit over motivation. And then you do have days where you feel great, and those days are awesome. But you just make yourself do it. As an athlete, you make yourself go to the gym. You make yourself get up in the morning and eat your first meal. You make yourself, go and have rehab sessions or whatever it might be.
Mm.
Nobody is motivated all the time. And the amount of people that come up to me and they're like, how do you stay so motivated? I have short and long-term goals that I'm focused on,
Mm.
but motivation just comes and goes all the time. I can be not motivated for, when I trained for my very last competition for the Royal Albert Hall, I wasn't motivated for a single session. Not one session did I turn up at the gym thinking, yeah, this is awesome. I was in pain, actually. So, I was suffering with a number of injuries, but I just wanted to make myself do it. I wanted to do one last show. And I got to the competition and I loved it. I loved every second of that competition. But the training to get there, that sucked. And I didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah. Now, Loz, I've watched a lot of your videos because I'm a big fan of yours. And and has there been days where you've recorded videos where you're saying not motivated, but let's say you're just in a real bad headspace? Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
the funny thing is you never present differently. You would never have any idea. And for me, when I'm thinking about it, I've never thought of a time where I'm struggling that I've improved by sitting around thinking about it.
No.
And yeah, again, it just gets back to that thing where so you just have no idea what's going on in someone's head. And yeah, just getting on with it oftentimes is the best thing.
Often people won't have a clue when I'm in a bad place because I'm not someone that sort of, the only person that will know is probably Liz.
Yeah.
She'll know.
Yeah.
But no one else will know because I don't let it stop me. I mean, there are days that I want it to stop me, but you can't, you kind of have to just keep going. I always try when I am in a place like that. I like to focus on one day at a time. So, okay, get up, let's do this. YouTube is our job now. So it's got to be done. And if I stand there and go, hey guys, today we're going to talk about the Arnold Strongman Classic next week, everyone's going to turn off pretty quickly. So it's just, you got to kind of portray, the character that you are. I'm Uncle Loz. I'm happy. I'm kind of joyful, jovial, kind of, uncle to everyone. It's just the character that I've created, and it works for me. But yeah, we all have days where we don't want to do shit.
Well, you talk about you're not always motivated, which is the case for everyone. And you contrast discipline with that. And I think the same way between happiness and fulfillment, where people who chase happiness are masturbating and doing heroin all day, because genuinely that would probably make you the happiest. But for me, I always think the more things I could do that take me towards where I want to be in life and the impact I want to make, the better off it is. Now, with this YouTube channel, you guys have grown crazy, crazy amounts. And there's obviously a financial aspect to it. You're able to make an income from Strongman and everything related to it. But what's your real objective, the real purpose with that channel?
I want to grow Strongman as much as I can. It's, I absolutely love Strongman. And I don't think anyone can argue the fact. I've probably been screwed over and paid less more than any other Strongman, many times. But I still, the amount of injuries that I had, the amount of disappointments I had, and the fact that I still kept coming back. I don't think anyone can question that I love Strongman. And even now that I'm not competing, I still want to see the sport grow. I want guys like yourself to benefit from it. I want to see the world's strongest man have more viewers. I want to see the Arnold comps get more viewers. I want to see the prize money go up for everyone. I want more people watching Strongman. And yes, if all Strongman gets bigger and better, it should help me get, more from whatever it might be, commentating, sponsorship, YouTube views, whatever it can be. It'll all trickle down. If you look at something like the UFC or wrestling, they're two good sort of contrasting niches, a bit like Strongman, but they have a much, much bigger following. So if we can get the world's strongest man to be at the level of, I don't know, the UFC or something like that, then athletes, people involved will all be able to make more money from it. And it will improve for everyone. I want to see athletes looked after. I want to see, athletes treated well when they're going to shows and not being shoved in crappy hotel rooms with another strongman snoring and, on the shittiest flights. I want to see these guys treated like I don't like saying celebrity, because I don't put us on a pedestal. We're just guys that are very good at lifting shit up and down. But, you're very good at what you do. So it's nice to see people that have put that work in treated well and kind of respected. And that's what I want to see with the sport. I want more people to understand the history of the sport, and I want more people involved as it goes forward.
Yeah, you don't see many people like you in any other sport, and maybe because it's that they're further along when it comes to, say, football or basketball, NFL, whatever you want to contrast it to. But I think what's interesting about strength sports is it means so much more to a lot of people than just lifting weights. For a lot of people, it's a releaser. So I tend to believe that strongman would have given more to you than just a cool way to earn an income and whatnot. So what would you say are some of the most valuable things that you were able to pull from your time in the sport?
Friendships that I've made with certain people. It's allowed me to meet like-minded people, which is always cool, because I always felt I was a bit different to everyone at my school, for instance. I always felt like I was a bit of a weirdo. And I'm sure most of us do. To be honest, I think everyone involved in the fitness industry is a bit of a weirdo. We're all a bunch of insecure wankers.
Led by Colin Rice, the weirdest of them.
Yeah. But, making like-minded friends has been brilliant. Strongman has allowed me to travel the world, which has been huge, because that's allowed me to meet so many different people in different cultures, and that's just been invaluable. It's something I think everyone should experience, to be able to travel to different places and experience different ways of living, because it's very easy to think, when we live in America or Canada or the UK, that's just the only way things are done. And it's quite interesting to see how other people live and other people's thoughts and philosophies. I find that very interesting. And discipline as well. It created a goal for me. It was a purpose to get up in the morning and drive to be better. And that is extremely important for me. And it's still important for me now that I have goals. I'm not someone that is very good, that can just sort of wake up and do whatever. I need those goals. And I'm actually happier working towards a goal. Doesn't matter what the goal is. As long as I've set myself a goal, I need to have a reason to motivate me, if you like, wrong word to use, but, to make me get up and pursue something. I'm not very good at just existing. The thought of a 9 to 5 scares the shit out of me. It's just not, I can't do it. I need to be driving towards something that I love and I have a passion about. And luckily I've managed to do that in a very niche sport that for most of us, we end up giving up and, doing something different.
Yeah. It's funny, guys like you and I who are terrified of the 9 to 5 end up creating lives for ourselves that are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And we're like, yeah, 9 to 5 sucks.
Yeah. I worked out my sort of probably hourly pay a few months back. And I was like, damn, that sucks.
We're McDonald's workers. Now, if you're always thinking about striving towards a goal, have you ever thought about what your perfect life would look like at 65 years old?
No. I always have to create a new goal. And normally I know, so, Paul Smith, for instance, he's made a 20-year training goal. 20-year training goal. Who the hell does that?
What is it?
He's got his whole career planned out.
What's his 20-year goal?
He wants to become the world's strongest man
in 20 years.
I think he's halfway through it now, I guess, but he kind of laid out this 20-year plan, which is quite incredible. I work more in yearly blocks and then maybe 5 yearly blocks. So I want to be involved in strongman as long as I can. The dream would be to coach less people and just turn up to competitions that I want to go to. And not have to do it for money. It is the dream. If I could get to like a position where I am financially secure and I can just travel to the nice big competitions, promote the shows that I want to promote, and coach, say, 10 to 20 people that I really want to sort of work with and help improve, that would be me happy. The reality is I need to do a lot more than that to kind of, drive the lifestyle that I want to live and provide for my family. So right now I work a lot of hours, I put a lot of effort into, but I genuinely love what I do. I mean, me and Liz say when we're traveling and being part of these competitions, it's awesome. We're basically best mates that are traveling around the world doing something we love. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It would be nice to be in a position where the house is paid for, we've got money in the bank, and we can just enjoy it with no pressure, not worrying about how many views a video gets, because it doesn't matter. And there's certain things with Strongman, like we like to help promote the under 105s or the under 90s, the under 80s, the women's side of things. Unfortunately, a lot of that doesn't pay at all. Yeah. So sometimes we have to prioritize the heavyweight men and the bigger shows just to get that, just to make it worth its while. Because Liz has done many interviews with the ladies, and I've done interviews with guys and stuff, and we've tried to promote smaller competitions, but we get nothing for it, which isn't a problem if you're in a position where you don't need to pay bills. At the moment, unfortunately, we've still got to pay the bills and put the kids through school and buy food for the table and stuff like that. So there is that kind of pressure. It would be nice to not have that financial pressure, get into that position where okay, we're good now, it's just about giving back.
Yeah. And it's actually interesting. I personally love capitalist society where you can look at how much money you make and have that as in most cases, a representation of how much you're giving to the world, whether that's in influence or whatever it may be. And it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? Even if you had all the money in the world, if all you did was cover U80 strongmen, you would lose all your leverage and not be able to have your mission achieved anyway.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is how you grew up and with what you have had growing up. Have you ever reflected on what you're able to provide for your family? And you must have an immense amount of pride about that.
Oh, definitely. There's no better feeling for me knowing that I can look after the people I care about. Yeah. That is number one for me above anything. Making sure my kids have got everything they need, making sure Liz has got everything she needs, my mum, my brother, they're the people that are the most important to me in the world. And as long as they're okay, then I'm happy. It's weird. I'm quite happy to go without myself. I don't really, I'm not a flashy person. Look, I'm sat here in a free vest that I got from a sponsor. I'm not a fashionable person. I don't care about brands or anything like that. I'm much more interested in providing a good lifestyle for my family, making sure they're secure. That's way more important to me.
I always think in life, the goal should be to provide more to your family than was given to you. And I always think about how I grew up, and we could not have had more opposite upbringings, where I was coddled from start to finish. I was given everything I could ever imagine. I was taken to Europe multiple times, luxury resorts. And I'm looking back and going, Mom, you are making this a fucking hard job. Our children more. I'm like, we're going to have ponies and carousels. Loz, let's talk about your family. You know who my favorite family member of yours is, yeah?
I'm presuming Alexa.
100%. Tell us about your kids.
I absolutely, as you know, absolutely adore my kids. I got 3 kids. So Lewis is my stepson. He's the oldest. And then I've got 2 daughters, Ava, who is just 2.5 weeks younger than Lewis. So it's like having twins with them. And then between me and Liz, we have Alexa as well, who's 4. She just started school and she's absolutely loving it. I'm not loving it until next week because she's in this transition phase where the first week they just go for 2 days, 2 half days. And then this week she's been going for half days, but gone every day. And then from next week, she starts full days. So she's used to long days from nursery. So it's been very difficult work-wise trying to get everything done while she's out the house. But from next week, things will be so much better because 5 days a week, she'll be out the house from sort of 8 till 3 p.m.
Yeah.
But I love having her around. She is just the most happy little kind of child you'll ever meet. She's so independent, wants to be able to do everything that her big brother and sister can. She's definitely the most sporty out of the 3 of them. She's very manipulative at times. She tries to get what she wants, but she's a good girl. And yeah, everything I do is for the kids. I want them to have absolutely everything. Like, I want them to be like you, a spoiled little brat.
There's a reasonable argument to say that I have to give my children the benefit of being able to give their children more, and maybe I'll be a selfish asshole so they can do that. A backwards present, if you will. um, Now, the blended family is a really interesting thing. How did that go? Like when the kids sort of came together, was that fairly natural?
When I split with my ex, I was like, I don't want to get with someone who's got a kid. You
Yeah.
know, like you would. But I met Liz, and I kind of had a thing for her. I was like, well, she's got this little boy. I guess I'm going to have to meet him. But you know, I couldn't really say anything. I had a daughter the same age, so who the hell am I going to say anything? And we've been very lucky. Our kid, Ava and Lewis, have always got on. The two of them have never ever once sort of fallen out. They get on like a house on fire. It's very interesting because Lewis is the oldest, but he's autistic. So
Mm.
it's really like Ava's the oldest. She's quite mature, quiet, kind of thoughtful. She's like the big sister. Lewis is more like the cheeky younger brother, and then Alexa is the really cheeky little sister that can. She can drive Lewis a bit mad sometimes, but he's good. He's a good big brother with her, and Ava as well is a great big sister. The three of them all get on really well. They play together nicely, and it's been having Ava and Lewis being such close age. They've just been able to do everything together
Mm.
from the whole time. I've been with Liz since they were 3, so they can't remember life before each other.
Yeah.
And they've been able to go and experience all these different things. I mean, I was lucky. I did an event in Dubai and got to take them on like a hot air balloon, which was an amazing experience for them both. We've been able to go all over to different places that a lot of kids that age wouldn't have been able to go to. We have lots of days out and family days, and they always are very grateful. They're good kids, and I'm very, very lucky. I see Lewis as a son to me, and I'm very lucky to have 2 amazing daughters as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny going back to you saying, I wouldn't want to have a partner who has a child. I think if everyone in committed long-term relationships right now writes down what they were hoping to get and their perfect candidate. I remember distinctly, Ashley and we met maybe 6 months before I moved to Australia, and I had I had quite a rotation, and it bothers her to this day. But every person in the rotation, I sat down and from the get-go, I said, look, this is the line I use. I said, you could be a Victoria's Secret model who cured cancer. I'm going to Australia. It's not happening. And I meet her, and there you go. Now, with us, we are going to have kids, hopefully, in about 12 months' time after we get married. And one of my biggest fears is having a girl. Reason being is right now, if you look at how 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old girls, if you look at how they behave, it is terrifying to respect yourself as a father. Do you think about that much?
I used to.
Okay.
Before I had kids, yeah, that was definitely a thought that I had. And I won't sit here and lie. At first, when my ex got pregnant with Ava, I was hoping for a boy.
Yeah.
I really was. But I wouldn't change them for the world now. It's weird. Like, I almost like it that I've got two girls at mine, and I like that Lewis is the only boy because he's my boy. It might be different if I had my own, and I wouldn't want it to be. It's very strange, but they come along and they've just got completely different characters than you'd imagine. I mean, to be fair, Alexa is what you'd expect from me and Liz. She's a little bit of both of us. All 3 of them are very different, which is so interesting. But Alexa is definitely a good mix of me and Liz. She's kind of, sporty. She's confident. She's, a bit sassy. She's kind of cheeky. She's just got a little bit of everything. Ava is a lot more shy, thoughtful, quiet. Lewis is a bit more kind of a funny type. He's geeky, but he's very funny with it. He's a real good comedian, great sense of humor, but much more sort of into computers and gaming than sport. He's not into sport at all. And
Yeah.
it's kind of, interesting to think they're all pretty much brought up the same, but they're all so different in personality.
Yeah, yeah. And I appreciate that you probably, in terms of sharing pictures and stuff of your kids, there's not that much out there. But I've seen a couple of pictures of
I don't post a lot on my social media, but Liz posts loads of stuff, like on her Facebook stuff. She posts stuff all the time.
Right.
I know some people like can be quite funny about posting their kids and stuff like that. But I try and let us live as normal a life as possible. I see myself as a normal guy. Like I said, yes, we're freaks of nature that are good at what we do, but I don't sort of see myself as anything beyond that. I try not to put myself. I'm one of those people. I don't put anyone on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And I don't put myself on a pedestal. I think we're all equal. And I try and just be a normal person. If someone's a decent person, I try and get on with them. They could be the greatest strongman in the world, but if they're a dick, then I've got no time for them. It's, I go on the way people treat other people is way more important to me than how good someone is at something.
Yeah, and it's funny, you always get questions from other people about this strongman and this strongman. If you could have dinner with one strongman ever, who would it be? And I always respond, and it's funny because I would rather have dinner with someone that I've met and liked than the most famous person of all time. Like, genuinely, if I had the choice between going out for dinner with you and Liz or Barack Obama, I'm like, yeah, you and Liz. I don't know a thing about the guy.
It makes sense, doesn't it? You want to hang around with people that you like.
I'm so far past thinking that strongmen should be famous that even saying I'm just a normal guy, I just feel like a normal guy, it feels like a really odd statement to me, because I'm going, well, what else would you feel like? Like, who do you think you are? But it's interesting because you guys, with making your living off YouTube, and you are, well, part of your living, and you are YouTubers, your kids have grown up in the generation where YouTubers are the famous people. Do they have some sort of context? Do they think you're a bit famous, or?
I would say the kids, especially the older two, are more impressed with our YouTube than they were with my career. I used to, if I was on TV doing a strongman competition, I'd be saying to the kids, "Oh, do you want to watch Daddy on TV?" "Nah, where's the iPad?" But like, if they can tell their mates that their mum and dad have got a decent YouTube channel, then I don't know, it seems to work at school. So maybe we get more points for that than I do for my achievements in strongman.
They watch your YouTube?
Well, they've been on a couple of videos, and they love watching the videos that they've been on. Weirdly, like I started the channel before I was doing all the strongman stuff. It was just I guess you're young, but back when YouTube started, I wasn't trying to be a YouTuber. I just uploaded some funny videos or training videos or whatever. Yeah. And I've got one of my first videos is me and Lewis messing around in a supermarket. And there's like a 20-kilo bag, and I hand it to him, and obviously he drops it straight to the floor. It's just a short video, and it had no views. And then suddenly during lockdown, this video went mental. I think it's like on 5 or 6 million views now. It's my most popular video. It's only a short, so you don't make any money from it or anything. But he loves that he's kind of gone viral in a YouTube video.
Yeah. Interesting with Lewis. So you said he has autism, yeah?
Yeah.
How do your goals for a child with autism in terms of what they do with their life, how does that change from your other kids?
It doesn't really change anything, to be honest. He is very, very capable in certain areas. One thing with the Lewis that's very obvious is people skills are poor. And it's kind of almost across the board with autism. They tend to be very awkward at communication and stuff like that. But he is a whiz on a computer. He can do stuff that I'm a bad example, but he can do stuff that Liz can't do, and she's pretty good on a computer. So, I think he'll be absolutely fine. He knows what he wants to do work-wise. He wants to get into kind of computer programming and stuff like that. he's kind of coming into year 9 now, where they start thinking about sort of options for GCSEs in the UK and qualifications to then go on to higher education and jobs and stuff. And he's got a good idea of what he wants to do. So I think as long as he's got a job behind the scenes, not working with people,
Yeah.
he's going to be absolutely fine. He's one of these, he's he's like an old man. He's a 13-year-old old man. And like Liz is a real spender. Okay. Liz is a typical woman that likes to spend money.
Yeah.
You are. And we went shopping for school shoes the other day for the kids going back to school. And Lewis was like, I don't need school shoes. Mine still fit. Why are you wasting money on school shoes for me? I don't need a new bag. My bag's fine. He's just like, he doesn't want to spend money. He doesn't want to do anything. He's a proper grumpy old man. But I think, I kind of love it about him as well. He's just very frugal, doesn't want to waste money, doesn't want to do anything. Whereas the girls, they'll all be spending, every penny that they can on whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Now, I know they're not particularly interested in strongman, your kids, but have you ever made any sort of connection between Lewis and Tom? Because it's been described to me how Tom was a few years ago, and he's made it so far. This is hilarious. Ashley knew that one of the Stoltman brothers was on the spectrum, and at Worlds, we were sitting at the poolside, and I was chatting to Tom for probably 45 minutes, just hanging out, talking about whatever. And Ashley and I are walking away from the pool, and she goes, so Luke's the one with autism?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting because obviously I've known Tom a long time. I've seen him from the very beginning when he came into the sport, and the growth of him has been incredible. I'm not talking strongman, just him as a person, his ability to communicate with people, his confidence. He has changed so much in that time. And now I think for a lot of people, they would struggle to even realize his confidence has grown so much. I think when you know him, it's easier to pick up on things. But yeah, I remember when I first met Tom, again, it was so hard to get anything out of him. You try and sit there and have a conversation with him, and it was just one word answers, wouldn't be able to look at you in the eye and stuff like that. Whereas now he can, do a full blown interview. He's articulate. He kind of comes across really well. He gets his point of view across, and he's really driven with his goals as well. And I think the fact that he has the autism helps him quite a lot because he can block everything else out. Yeah. Things that the rest of us would get annoyed about and flustered about, he just like, sod that. I don't need to know about that. I need to know about what's happening here. And I think it's great for his prep when he's focused on a competition. It helps him a lot.
I've never seen someone so disinterested in anything as Tom during the rules meeting for World's Strongest Man. He was so anxious just to get out and get moving. But has the growth of him in terms of interpersonal skills, has that changed how you think Lewis could develop over time?
It's not changed it, because to be quite honest, with Liz and myself, we try not to use autism as an excuse for anything. Like, if I thought he was naughty as a kid, he'd get told off. We wouldn't be like, oh, it's the autism, and likewise, we try not to let anything be an excuse. We try and make him understand and see things. And that can be a challenge sometimes, making sure you kind of portray things in a way that he understands. Even if sometimes he doesn't understand, sometimes you've just got to teach him that certain things are expected in kind of society. So as long as he appreciates that other people might react differently to something, so we try and kind of educate him in that way. But in terms of his development, there's no concerns whatsoever. He will get our full support in whatever he wants to do. It's never really been the only thing I sometimes tease Liz and say, Lewis is going to be stuck here till he's 40. And she's going to be like, there's a program in the UK called The Undateables. And there was a character called Richard on there, and the mum is called Liz. So I always tease Liz and say, that's you in 20 years time. But honestly, I have no concerns for him at all. He's developing very well. I've actually met some of his friends, and I'm like, geez, they're worse than him. I kind of go back to what kids were like when I was young, and kids can be nasty. His friends are all so soft and nice, and it's quite sweet. And I do sort of sometimes worry that, in the real world, people will try and take advantage and stuff like that. But for the whole, he's doing well at school. He's got a good group of friends. He knows what he wants to do. So there's no concerns there. And even now, he's enjoying coming to the gym with me and going arm wrestling. So he's starting to get into training a bit more, and that's helping his confidence, and it's making him meet new people. So he's kind of expanding into other areas, which has been nice to see. Because at one point he would just stay in his room and it was all about his computer. It's nice that I'll go to arm wrestling club on a Sunday. He's like, "Oh, can I come with you?" It's like, "Yeah, great, come." During the summer holidays, he wanted to come to the gym. Me and my brother have our own private little gym, and he was down there training once or twice a week. So he's really getting into that side of things. And I think that's helping his confidence. He feels like he looks a bit better. He's a bit stronger. That's definitely helping him a lot.
Well, you guys are obviously phenomenal parents, and for context, I still do work in the field in essence of people with unique circumstances. And I used to do inclusion counseling and work with a lot of kids who are on the spectrum or Down syndrome or whatever it may be. And it's always so fascinating how they see the world, because they see it as though there's no perspective from anyone else. And it's things like, why do you wear shorts when it's cold when you're always in the warm? Actually, I have no idea. That's a great question.
Yeah.
But for other people, I think someone like Tom, and this is really, when it comes to Strongman, that I think the most valuable thing is we have these platforms to do with what we wish. And for someone like Tom to have that type of development, personally, I think that would give a lot of not only kids, but parents hope and perspective that, look, it's not doom and gloom. Regardless of the situation, you could make it very, very far. And that type of impact is stuff that I find to be really important, much more so than Strongman. Did you ever have something like that where obviously you were less famous, quote unquote, during the time, but did you ever try to take advantage of your platform in any ways to promote something outside of Strongman, greater than Strongman?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the most proud things that I have is when people message me and say what I've done has inspired them in their walk of life, whatever it might be. And I've had people in all walks of life that have messaged me, and they say, for a lot of people, just the fact that I managed to come back from so many disappointments has helped a lot of people. And I'm more proud of that than I am of some of my competition wins, because to inspire other people is hugely, hugely, firstly, motivating. As any of us, if you feel like you're helping someone in a certain way, there's a lot of, it's a great feeling to know that what you do inspires people, has helped someone, has motivated someone. And when you meet people face to face and they say, thanks to what you did, I was able to go and achieve in my walk of life, that's very, very powerful. And yeah, absolutely, it's something that means a lot to me, and it's something I still try and do now. I try and put content out there that will make people want to be better, want to improve themselves. And that's something I kind of go on about it all the time. But for all of us, sometimes comparison is a terrible thing, because it can make us all very depressed. And you can have, you scroll onto Instagram and it's like, well, I'm a crap deadlifter or whatever it might be, because everyone's deadlifting whatever these days. But the reality is, if you are improving, that's what counts. And normally we're all good at different things. So, it's sometimes you could be a great deadlifter, but a terrible bench presser or whatever it might be. We've just got to focus on our own improvements. And if you can take inspiration from what these people are doing and make sure that you better yourself, then it's great. If you're watching people and it's demotivating you, then the best thing to do is stop looking, hide people. It's, I think social media is a very powerful tool, but it can be good and it can be bad as well.
Yeah, of course. Now, for me, I had no idea how you grew up. And to me, it's inspiring even to see how far you've made it from what you were given and where you are now. We're going to start to wrap it up here. But if you were to give people advice in life to make it out of any sort of difficult circumstance, whether that's mental health or financial or relationship, whatever it may be, what would you say? Best advice. You've really gone through it all, haven't you?
I genuinely believe this. And I've said openly, I've suffered with depression myself, and that's 100% true. I've tried to help a lot of people in the past. I'm kind of a soft head. I'll always try and help people, clients, friends, athletes, whatever it might be. I've tried to help a lot of people. You have to help yourself. That's the bottom line. No one is going to do it for you. There's people that will help, that be there to help and support and advise and stuff like that. But you as a person have to drag your ass up and make yourself do something. I think, I don't know if you saw the interview that I did with Travis Altmaier, but that was a very powerful message that he had. And, you know, he was in a really, really low place, kind of messed his life up majorly. And the only way he could get out of it was to do something himself. He had to start kind of looking at, like, right, you look at his feet, I can still walk. So I've got to put one foot in front of the other and start moving. And it is sometimes as simple as that, just making that first step on the ladder to whatever it might be. But you've got to do it yourself. You can't just sit there making all these excuses for why you can't do something. And too many people do that. There's too many people saying, oh, I'm depressed, I can't do this. Oh, I'm too busy, I can't go to the gym. Oh, I can't diet because of whatever. McDonald's exists. There's always an excuse. You know, we've got to stop making excuses and start accepting that we're responsible for our futures. And if you want to achieve something, then you have to be willing to change something. You can't just sit there talking about it. And I think, you know, there's lots of people that are willing to help, but the most important person is yourself. If you're not willing to take that first step and start working towards something, then it's never going to happen. I think a lot of people take one step, get slapped in the face, and then they're like hiding under the cupboard again. You've got those first few steps are the hardest. You're kind of like, you know, you get pushed back time and time again. I mean, I can show you many examples of where I've tried to pull myself up and then I've been shat on, you know, but you got to wipe that shit off and keep moving forward. And then eventually things start getting better. I mean, you and me were talking off there about some of our stuff going on. And it doesn't matter what level you get to, there's always stuff to deal with, always. It just becomes different. You know, the challenges change, and, you know, it's much, I truly believe we all are capable of achieving great things, but you have to be willing to put the work in. I was talking to my daughter the other day, my older daughter, because she's really getting into acting and drama and stuff like that. And I was saying to her, well, what do you need to do to be better at that kind of thing? She's like, I don't know. I said, well, you need to get fitter, because fitness is going to help you when you're kind of performing, and you've got to learn to dance. You've got to learn to sing. You've got to learn to be expressive. You know, I was trying to just chuck out these ideas to make her think, all right, I want to be an actor, an actress. Well, how do I get there? Because you can't just say, I want to be a strongman and then just sit around thinking, yeah, I want to be a strongman. You're going to have to start thinking, well, I need to train and I need to work on fitness and speed and conditioning. And, you know, there's lots of factors, and it's the same with whatever. If you want to be a YouTuber, learn how to, you know, act in front of a camera, learn how to talk to a camera, learn how to present, learn how to edit, learn how to use a computer, because all these skills are going to help you. It's just making that first little step towards those things, though, that is the hardest bit for a lot of people. And no matter what you want to do, you got to do it yourself. No one is going to hand it to you. If you look at all the successful people, other than like maybe a small handful that have kind of just been born into wealth and stuff like that, for the majority of us, even Mitch here has had to work hard, you know, even with his silver spoon, he's still put a lot of work in. I know how hard you work behind the scenes. You know, it's not handed to you on a plate. People think that things are easy. They don't see the hours and hours of effort and work that people put in to be successful. They just see the pinnacle and they think, oh, that's easy. I've had young guys in Strongman coming up to me going, oh, I'd love to be at your level doing, you know, what you're doing. I'm like, I put 20 years of effort in to get to this level. It takes time and it's hard, but if you're willing to put the steps in and deal with the knockbacks, then you're capable of anything.
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, I think how proud you are of something should be a direct reflection of how hard you worked on it. And that's why I think my pride towards what I've done in Strongman is much lower than what a lot of people's would have been, because I just happened to be really lucky, really good, work hard for a few years, and here we are.
But I think that's why I'm so proud, though, because I was the other way. You know, I had knockback after knockback. Yeah. I was almost on the brink of giving up a number of times. Yeah. And then I still managed to keep coming. And then 2016, I had my absolute best year where I won a world and a European title. It's, you I could have easily given up, but if I didn't keep dragging my ass up and keep learning from things, I would never have achieved the things that I did. So, you're a bit of a freak of nature, but you've put effort into a lot of things to be that freak of nature. You've learned how to work hard from a very young age. You learned how to compete. People think you are fairly new to strongman, but you're not new to competing. You've been competing at a high level since you're a young man, a young boy. It's something that's ingrained into you.
Well, I'm going to give 2 quick anecdotes, and then I'm going to let you go. I got to run back to the clinic. But I'll give my 2 favorite interview questions relating to what you were just talking about in terms of the advice. First one, not so much. My first one is, what do you believe to be true that none of your friends believe to be true? I think independent thinking is the most important thing in anyone's life. The second one is directly related to what you were talking about. And it's a 2-part question. I asked someone, where do you want to be in 10 years? And when you're interviewing, someone will give you an answer that is grandiose. They want to seem like they're very ambitious. And directly following that question up with, what are you doing to create that for yourself? Creates a lot of pause, hesitation, and confusion. So takeaway message, guys, get out there, do something for yourself to get yourself to the place you want to be. Loz, thank you very much for coming on. You are such a positive influence in the world of strongman. You were a great strongman. You're a great YouTuber, but you're a better man. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, buddy. It's been a pleasure to be on here as well.
All right, guys. That is episode 3 of the Beyond Strong podcast. Episode 2. I'm already ahead of myself. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.